Within a couple of weeks, junior doctors across New Zealand are going on strike. Now, the story we're going to talk about today is a little bit about why, but also you'll be aware that the people who have titles in this story are the longest titles in the history of the world. I'm not sure why, but let's get to one of them straight away. Representing the junior doctors is Deborah Powell. She is the National Secretary of the New Zealand Resident Doctors Association, very long title. She says this about the strike. We have yet to see sufficient real changes in the system after 4 years of engagement and 10 months of bargaining. We see no other way to secure safer rosters for our nation's doctors and the patients we care for. Now, Dean McKenzie, I'm kind of in her camp. The stories I've heard about and read about have these young doctors working 12 days out of 14, 16-hour shifts at a time, and falling asleep in their cars on the way home. Not all of them, but there's some of the examples that came out. And I have to say, I don't want that doctor looking at me on day 11 of 12 in the hospital, because that's a ridiculous amount of work.
Well, look, I can understand that point of view, Pat, but I think there's more to the story. Deborah Powell has, this isn't just in 4 years of engagement, 10 months of bargaining. This has been going on for generations, and Deborah's been right at the heart of it. And I think that they're not giving us the true story. I mean, we need to know more about what those junior doctors actually do. I mean, some of it's really complicated. There's callbacks, which they're paid extra for. They're paid extra for all sorts of comings and goings when senior doctors aren't available. And so we need to know who's actually pulling their weight in this and who's not, and maybe the junior doctors are being imposed upon, but I just can't believe that anybody can physically work that long without falling over bloody near dead.
Yeah, I think I thought that as well, and I was wondering, and I have to say I'm ignorant in the situation of what a junior doctor does. I mean, probably we should talk to a junior doctor about that, but my understanding is if you're doing a 16-hour shift through the night, you can go and lie down and go to sleep, but you could be on call at any time. I just think there's been, this has been blowing up talkback this week. And many of the callers have been not supporting the doctors because they've been going, oh, they earn good money, etc., etc. Or I heard one the other day, which was a delivery driver for a pizza place, saying I work 15 days straight, 12 hours a day. And I was like, yeah, okay, but if you're delivering a pizza to the wrong house, no one dies. If you're a doctor and you're exhausted from this workload, I think the potential consequences are a bit worse.
Yeah, and I think there's two sides. Well, you're quite right, but there's two sides to this too, and I don't think the DHBs and their representative are actually putting the full case forward either. I mean, it's just, this goes on in the medical, and it just seems everybody wants more money, and more of us are waiting to have operations, basically. And there's only a certain amount of money to go around. I mean, you don't want to pay any more tax, and neither do I. So when does it end? I mean, so part of the story is they want to reduce it down to 10 days rather than the 12, but DHBs don't want to pay for the 2 extra days. And the junior doctors want to be paid for those 2 extra days. So there's got to be middle ground, but honestly, I just can't see it happening.
It's interesting you say middle ground as well, because so often in these situations, which are, union versus employer, or however it works, there always seems to be an impasse. I mean, I remember various ports versus cities, strikes, and the actual leaders, and I've interviewed them at times, were saying, I don't care what they offer, we're not coming to the table. And it's like, well, that doesn't seem to work. But you mentioned the DHB, on to our second longest job title in the history of the world. She is the DHB National Workforce and Employment Relations Program Lead Chief Executive, Julie Patterson.
That's got to get a prize.
She says this, because what they did was they put an offer on the table last minute, but it was rejected because they were going to reject it, like we were saying. She says this, quote, we hope the union will at least let the junior doctors discuss the DHB offer, that's one that they put on the table, before putting the public of New Zealand through the disruption of industrial action. We have agreed to split night shifts and that the union report cause fatigue. That's what the union reports, they cause fatigue. We have given an assurance that the maximum number of days worked in a row will be reduced to 10 days, and we have provided a framework to fast track the changes required. Despite the DHB's offer, the union has maintained its position of expecting DHBs to pay the junior doctors for the days off that will result from the roster changes. So what you're saying, they want more money and they want to be paid off, but then again, like if you work Monday to Friday, 5 days in a row, you get paid a salary, you get paid for 2 days off. That's part of what you get, isn't it?
Oh, well, I suppose you sell your services to your employer and,
Well, it's within...
I just on this one really bugs me. I mean, Deborah Powell's been in this position for a long time. I don't know Julie Patterson, but it just seems to me that it's always want from junior doctors who become older doctors and senior doctors and own wineries and become capitalists.
So you're saying it's like that old adage that if you're young and you're not to the left, you have no heart, and when you're older, if you're not to the right, you've got no brain. It sounds like they're the proponents of that. You're
Absolutely,
saying. Very good. Well, we hope they sort it out, because what's best for all of New Zealand is not to have a whole bunch of our doctors missing in a couple of weeks' time.
Absolutely, yep.